I'm here at family planning Camelback, seeking an abortion. And you only have a certain time frame now that they changed the law.
Shareni Romero is 25 years old, and when she learned she was pregnant, she visited Camelback Family Planning in Phoenix, Arizona. The abortion clinic has been halting and resuming abortion care amid a fight over the procedure in Arizona courts since the conservative majority on the U.S. Supreme Court overturned a 50-year precedent protecting a woman's right to terminate a pregnancy. Romero's immigration status means she cannot vote, but she urged those who could to keep abortion rights in focus when they cast ballots in the November midterm elections.
Vote for your sisters, your mothers, and your best friends, what they're going through right now, because it's scary.
Orion Johnson, who is non-binary, also sought care at Camelback in Phoenix and worried that many didn't appreciate how difficult it was to obtain the procedure or how much more difficult it might become.
The people who aren't voting and are in the lower class should be afraid. I think everyone, as much as people don't want to be afraid and people want to believe everything's going to be okay, there will be more damage before it even gets better.
The repeal of abortion protections spurred many Republican-governed states to enact near-total abortion bans. Some, eyeing Republican control of Congress after the midterm election, have proposed outlawing the procedure nationwide. Here's former Vice President Mike Pence this week.
On January 22nd, 2023, we're going to have pro-life majorities in the House and the Senate, and we're going to be taking the case for life to every state in America.
Not all Republicans support federal restrictions. Others, particularly those facing tight election contests, have tried to keep quiet on the subject. But many abortion providers and activists are now beating the drum for Democratic candidates with new fervor.
You need to vote Democratic because the Republicans are going to take that away, absolutely.
Dr. Gabrielle Goodrick founded Camelback Family Planning in 1999 and met with both Romero and Johnson. Romero was able to obtain medication to terminate her pregnancy. Arizona's current abortion restrictions meant that Johnson, however, would have to travel to Colorado to get the procedure. Goodrick told Reuters that while abortion as a political issue might divide Democrats and Republicans, patient health needs do not conform to party affiliation.
Probably half our patients are Republicans. All people have unplanned pregnancies and face these decisions in their life. Even if they think it's not relevant for them, they could have a pregnancy complication and a wanted pregnancy, and these laws affect those women.
Democrats enjoyed a polling boost over the summer after the Supreme Court struck down constitutional protections for abortion, giving some in that party hope they might be able to hold on to one or even both chambers of Congress.
Americans are behind a woman's right to choose. It's never wavered. In fact, support for it has grown.
Tim Malloy is an analyst at the Quinnipiac University poll. He told Reuters there was a chance abortion rights could be more relevant in this upcoming election than Republicans expect.
We also believe that abortion could be a third rail for the GOP. It is a big issue with women and men in this country. So it is, next to inflation, probably the biggest issue going.
But as the abortion decision recedes from the headlines and Americans face price inflation at the grocery store and gas station, what once seemed like an issue giving Democrats an edge may have lost some of its ability to propel voters to the ballot box.
If you care about the right to choose, then you got to vote.
That may be why Democratic President Joe Biden this week sought to keep abortion and Republican proposals to ban it nationwide in focus.
Kevin Spacey was handed a victory Thursday after jurors in a Manhattan civil trial found the man accusing him of sexual abuse didn't prove his claim. The verdict followed a 3-week trial and came some 2 hours after jurors began deliberating. 50-year-old actor Anthony Rapp, best known for the Broadway production of Rent, testified that Spacey made an unwanted sexual advance on him when he was just 14 years old. Spacey denied the allegation on the stand and said he had never been alone with Rapp. Spacey's defense challenged Rapp's memory of the 1986 encounter, asking why he described it as having taken place in a bedroom when Spacey lived in a studio at the time. During closing arguments Thursday, Spacey's lawyer argued that Rapp's story was a fabrication. accusing the actor of lying out of a desire for attention or jealousy of Spacey's acting success. Spacey won Oscars for performances in American Beauty and The Usual Suspects, but Spacey's career largely ended after more than 20 men accused him of sexual misconduct. Spacey has denied any misconduct. Spacey faces a criminal trial in London next year.
Sterling rallied on Thursday as British Prime Minister Liz Truss announced that she and her economic plans had hit the end of the road after just 6 weeks at the helm. Her resignation followed a humiliating reversal of almost all of her economic program, one that jolted markets, pushed up living costs for many Brits, and enraged her own Conservative ruling party.
And we set out a vision for a low-tax, high-growth economy that would take advantage of the freedoms of Brexit. I recognise, though, given the situation, I cannot deliver the mandate.
The UK's main stock indexes also closed higher Thursday, and investors dialed back bets on a full percentage point interest rate hike by the Bank of England next month. European shares rose on the news, as did U.S. stocks, with U.S. President Joe Biden shrugging off any economic spillover effects.
No, I don't think they're that consequential.
Liz Truss is elected as the leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party.
In her campaign for the party's leadership, Truss had pledged to shake up economic orthodoxy. But plans for vast unfunded tax cuts crashed the pound and British bonds. She was forced to fire her finance minister last week, with his replacement scrapping almost all of their economic program.
I am a fighter and not a quitter.
Approval ratings for her and the Conservative Party have tanked, with the UK economy heading for recession and inflation at a 40-year high.
People are really, really suffering in this country, and I think that's the real story here.
New Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt still needs to find tens of billions of pounds in spending cuts before delivering a new budget by the end of October. He's already ruled himself out of a leadership election due within the week.
U.S. stocks closed lower on Thursday as strong weekly jobless claims and comments from a U.S. Federal Reserve official who said the central bank was, quote, going to keep raising rates for a while, bolstered concerns about the Fed potentially tilting the economy into a recession in its effort to fight inflation. The Dow fell 0.3%, the S&P 500 dropped 0.8%, and the Nasdaq lost 0.6%. Paul Kim is co-founder and CEO of Simplify ETFs.
Fed is what drives the liquidity in the market, and that's all that matters. Fundamentals and sentiment are already horrendous. The only thing that really will drive markets in the medium term is where the Fed hikes to and when they finally pause and pivot. And they want three things, right? They want lower CPI, higher unemployment, and tighter financial conditions. We're not seeing the first two. CPI is not lower. Unemployment, you have a lot of anecdotes on hiring freezes and things like that, but you're not seeing any pressure coming out of the market or inflation from that side. All we are seeing are tighter financial conditions, primarily things like interest rates and mortgage rates, and then slowly things like equity pricing and valuation. So that's what you're seeing, but there's a lot more pain to come unless the Fed eases off.
That pain is already evident in the housing market. A report out Thursday showed existing home sales for September fell for the 8th straight month. Year over year, they're down 24%. Stocks initially rose early in Thursday's session, boosted by a flurry of solid corporate earnings. Shares of IBM gained after the IT services company beat quarterly earnings estimates and said it expects to exceed full-year revenue growth targets. Shares of AT&T surged after posting upbeat third-quarter results, and it lifted its annual profit forecast thanks to Americans opting for pricier wireless plans. But shares of Tesla slumped after the electric car company flagged persistent logistics challenges and said it expected to miss its vehicle delivery target this year.
We've got there, and we've got justice for our son. Yeah. I really feel that.
3 years after the death of their son garnered international attention, Harry Dunn's family said they felt a sense of justice on Thursday after the wife of a U.S. diplomat pleaded guilty to causing his death. 19-year-old Harry Dunn died in August 2019 after his motorcycle was hit by a car driven on the wrong side of the road by Sacoolas, near an Air Force base in the English county of Northamptonshire that is used by the U.S. military. Sacoolas left Britain shortly after the accident, claiming diplomatic immunity from criminal prosecution. The United States refused to extradite her, but the family kept fighting for justice, and the British government backed their calls for Sacoolas to be prosecuted. Here's how Harry's father, Tim Dunn, reacted outside court.
It's been a hard 3 years. Honestly, it's been the toughest 3 years ever. But the release of, I don't know, it just felt like the weight had lifted off my shoulders. I felt like I could breathe. It's been really tough, honestly. And today, honestly, it feels just like the sun's come out. I didn't know if we'd ever get to this stage sometimes.
Earlier Thursday, Sacoolas appeared at London's Old Bailey court by video link from the U.S. She denied causing death by dangerous driving, but admitted the less serious charge of causing death by careless driving. The case will not proceed to trial after consideration at the very highest level and in consultation with the family, a prosecutor said. Sacoolas will be sentenced in late November. The judge has directed that she attend in person. The charge carries a maximum jail term of 5 years, but guidelines suggest either a community order or a shorter prison sentence. Harry's mother, Charlotte Charles, said she had now fulfilled her promise to her son.
To be perfectly honest, what happens from here on in happens. For me, my promise is done now. That promise that was made the night he was killed, it's done. I'm done. I'm just going to stand aside now and just let the courts do their thing. It's been a long 3 years.